Yes, it's time for another album ranking. Today we are ranking the Metal Kings Metallica, the band that changed the landscape of metal for good. Well, I've been putting off this ranking for over a year now, and I think it's finally time to reveal my opinion of what I think about Metallica and the albums overall. You know what, my mate Quest for Metal said that you need to do a Metallica ranking because your opinions are very different, and he wants to see one. So I've decided to bite the bullet and give you my Metallica album ranking. This is completely my opinion, and you know, this list is completely subjective, and please don't take it too serious. Don't take it too fucking serious and you want to kill me. Let's get on with the party. The weakest album, my opinion, for Metallica, we're not including Lulu because that album is a pile of shit, but we're not talking about Lulu today. The weakest album of the Metallica album ranking is Reload, in my opinion. It is not a good album at all, and I'm just being brutally honest. I think the best song off the album is Fuel and Devil's Dance, but the rest of the songs, like Better Than You, I'll say Sliver, what the fuck were they thinking? It sounds like a rip-off of Enter Sandman, especially that guitar riff. I don't know what they were thinking, but to be honest, there's not really good songs on this album. Prince Charming's a pretty good song, but then you got songs like Low Man's Lyric, like it's a really slow southern song. Like, what is really interesting about Reload is they incorporate southern, at times country moments on this album. It sounds at times like a hillbilly album, to be honest. Metallica have lost their identity on this album, Reload. It just sounded to me that all the shitty Remain songs from Load have gone into Reload, and this is why it's the worst album by Metallica by far. And quite frankly, I don't like this album. I think this is a pile of shit. I do like The Unforgiven too. I like all of the Unforgiven songs, to be honest. Number 12, Attitude. Attitude sounds like he's saying Wattitude. This album isn't good. There are some nice solos on this album. There are some nice groove. Coming in at number 9 is Load. So Load is a better album. Ate My Bitch is a pretty good song, but then you got songs like The House That Jack Built, which is a very inspired southern song, to be honest. It's a very different song. Hetfield's vocals on this album are pretty good. I gotta admit that his vocals are pretty good on this album. Like, I do love the dynamic feel, and I do love some of the emotion that he conveys. There are good songs, like Mama Said's a really strange song by Metallica, but damn, the lyrics are pretty strong. The Outlaw, Torn, and Ronnie, I do enjoy those songs, and I do like how at times some of these songs flow very well onto each other. But again, this album's like an hour and 20 minutes, and it doesn't need to be an hour and 20 minutes. It's a boring album. This is why I don't go for it much. I prefer the other albums. There are some nice songs like King Nothing. Again, really sounds like Reload, except all the songs are fucking so much better. So coming up next is Saint Anger. You know what? I didn't like this album at first, and after listening to Metallica's whole discography again, after listening to Load and Reload, I went back to Saint Anger, and I said, holy shit, this is like a breath of pollutant fresh air. Although they did change the sound, I do really enjoy some of these songs like Frank Tick 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 Tock. How good is that song? Along with Saint Anger, absolutely fantastic song. I Love It, Some Kind of Monster's a good song. Dirty Window's a good song. Invisible Kid is one of the worst fucking songs. But then you got Sweet Amber. Purify is a very interesting song. I do love that riff on Purify. And All Within My Hands is a pretty good song. The reason why I really like this album is because of how frantic and how aggressive this album is. It's an aggressive fucking album. Now, of course, you get the infamous tingy, ring-a-ting-ting sound from Lars's drums. You go into this album with an open mind. You can actually really fucking enjoy it. This is why this album's fun. It's a fun album with some really awesome moments. I think they did the production on purpose, to be honest, because how claustrophobic and uncomfortable you feel listening to this album. I think they did that on purpose. And obviously, it was a huge flop, especially for fans, but in my opinion, I think Saint Anger is actually a pretty solid album for what it is. Production is absolute shit. Hetfield's vocals are absolute shit, but they are good in a different way, if you get what I mean. Like, there is so much emotion, so much anger from his vocals on this album, especially through Frantic. I think Saint Anger is actually a good album, not an abomination like a lot of people say. You got to come in an open mind and actually listen to the fucking album and to actually dissect it. But what's one criticism of the album is there's no solos on this album. No fucking solos. Every single album has a fucking guitar solo except this album. And that is one disappointing factor for Saint Anger. Coming up next is a self-titled album, what all the fans say and love to call is the Black Album. This is a good album. It's a good album, but I just feel it's overly bloated. It's an overly bloated album with some really overplayed songs like Enter Sandman and Nothing Else Matters. There are some pretty good songs, like The Unforgiven's a good song, along with Wherever I May Roam. I do love some of these guitar solos on this album, and not to mention, his vocals are pretty good as well. Some really nice bass moments throughout this album, along with some really nice drumming. And I do love the production on this album overall. But it is a struggle within to actually get through this album, in my opinion. It is hard to get through this album, it really is, because some of these songs are pretty boring. They're pretty boring and quite generic. I believe this is the album that made them big, and kudos to them, but in my opinion, it's definitely one of their weakest albums. Coming up next is Hardwired to Self-Destruct. This is their latest album. My god, after ending this album with their discography, I was pretty impressed. I said, holy shit, this album has actually grown on me. But this is a really fun album, especially the riffs on this album, pretty catchy, quite memorable, like Atlas Rise, Hardwire, Now That We're Dead, Moth into Flames, really solid songs. Spit Out the Bone to end off the album, but then you got songs like Here Comes Revenge. I do love that song. And overall, it's a pretty tight album. It's a long album as well. Like I've noticed that most Metallica albums are pretty long albums, but they have lots of juicy content, and especially on Hardwired to Self-Destruct, there's some really good gems on this album. I do love the song Halo on Fire. I do really enjoy this album, and these are the albums that I'm starting to really fucking enjoy now. So coming up next is 2008's Death Magnetic. Oh, this album is something else. These are the albums that I absolutely fucking love now. This was so good to go back. This album has aged very well. Absolutely love the production. People say the drum mix is quite compressed in this album, but I do love the production. The production is way better than Saint Anger's production. You can fight me because you're talking shit, but God, all these songs are absolutely fantastic. Like The End of the Line. It's like one of my favorite Metallica songs now. Broken, Bigger Than Scarred's good song, along with The Unforgiven 3. I do love the soft melodies, beautiful acoustic moments on that song. It's so good. Suicide Redemption is one of the best instrumentals by Metallica. I don't care what anyone says. I love that instrumental, along with My Apocalypse, a great way to finish off the album. The Day That Never Comes, I do enjoy that song. I enjoy every single fucking song of this album. I think it's really awesome, along with really nice guitar solos, some awesome melodic guitar solos that will just melt your face. Really nice shorty moments. It's a very proggy album as well, and I do love how they're going back to their roots. So coming in at number 4 is Injustice for All. This album is a pretty solid album in my opinion, it really is, but what is a little bit disappointing is that the bass is very low in the mix. And this is a very solid album, absolutely fucking love this album, but in my opinion there are other better albums by this band, such as the other 3 I'm going to mention. But which one will be in order? But The Blackened is one of the best songs to kick off an album in my opinion, how energetic and how fast it is, along with Injustice for All. I do love the melodic moments, along the guitar solos. Gets really awesome songs like Eye of the Beholder, One, that beautiful masterpiece, one of my favorite Metallica songs, and just how every single other band attempts to actually cover that one song. You got The Shortest Straw as well, Harvest of Sorrows, The Frayed Ends of Sanity. One of my favorite songs off the album, along with To Live Is To Die, which is an instrumental, you could say. I'm going to say it's an instrumental. It's one of my favorite instrumentals by Metallica. And Die As Eve, what a great way to end off the album. So Injustice for All is one of my favorite albums, and this is when all the albums start to alternate. Coming in at number 3 is, well, a lot of people's favorite, but I think there are other better albums than this, is Master of Puppets. This album is a very good album. I believe I did an album review for this, and I gave it a pretty solid score, but yeah, I stand by my score. This is a masterpiece by Metallica. Really love it. Master of Puppets is a great song, but it's overplayed. The thing that should not be is probably my favorite song off this album, just because of that guitar riff. That it's a quite doomy. Yeah, that song's amazing. Disposable Hero, Back to the Front, along with Leper Messiah, and then you got Orion, which is probably my favorite instrumental by Metallica, and you got Damage Inc. to finish off the album. Really tight, really flowing. Hetfield's vocals are pretty good on this album. There is just 2 other albums that are better. Alright, so this really tore me. It really tore me because after listening, oh my god, I don't know if I should change my pick or not, but I'm so torn at the moment. Kill 'Em All coming at number 2. Oh fuck. It's a fucking masterpiece. This is a thrash record, a full-on thrash record, at times quite progressive, different time signatures, but Hetfield's vocals on this album are just intense. Are just aggressive. He incorporates some incredible moments. Like this is a huge game changer for thrash, in my opinion. It really is. Like hit the lights, the 4 Horsemen, the guitar solo on that, along with Motor Breath, Jump into Fire. Jump into Fire is one of my favorite songs. Whiplash, Phantom Lord, No Remorse, where he actually has that huge elongated scream at the end, is absolutely magnificent. Seek and Destroy. Seek and Destroy. So Seek and Destroy is one of my favorite songs by Metallica. And then to finish off is Metal Militia. This is a really cohesive album. It's probably the most fun Metallica album, in my opinion. I had so much fun listening to this again. I really did. And now I think I should have put this at number 1 now. I really think I should put this at number 1. But at the moment sitting at number 2. But I think further listens that Kill 'Em All will probably be my favorite album by them. I absolutely love this album. I really do. Because this album sounds quite evil. It sounds like quite an evil album as well. Like especially his vocals are quite evil in tone. And I do love that. It's really awesome guitar solos on this as well. Such a delicious fucking album. So coming in at number 1 is my favorite Metallica album. At the moment, Kill 'Em All might actually take over, but it's Ride the Lightning. Yeah, Ride the Lightning is a fantastic fucking album. Absolutely love it. Fight Fire with Fire, amazing song. Great way to kick off the album. Along with Ride the Lightning, For Whom the Bells Tolls. Yeah, fuck it. This is my favorite album. It really is. Fade to Black is a fantastic ballad. The best power ballad by Metallica, in my opinion. Trapped Under Ice, really good song. Along with Escape, which is an okay song, probably the weakest song off the album. Creeping Death is so damn good. Creeping Death. And to finish off the album is the instrumental, The Call of Cthulhu. What a great way to finish off the album. So yeah, I think Ride the Lightning is the best Metallica album. But yeah, comment below your album ranking for Metallica. Do you agree or disagree with my opinion? This list is completely subjective. And next week is the band that is better than Metallica, and that is Iron Maiden. So that'll be next week for the album ranking, and I will see you in the next one.